I've got the magic in me. Every time I touch that track, it turns into gold. Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies with special guest Tim Davis. This is the podcast where all three of us went and saw a movie at our local Regal Cinema Theater, and now we're going to talk about it in Matt's Honda Pilot, right in front of two people talking, saying their goodbyes while we're stuck in this car in the parking structure right next to the movie theater. And we're going to talk about such things as, should you see this movie? Should you not see this movie? Should you bring your family? Can you bring a date? Should you go by yourself? Do you need to pay attention to every single detail? Or can you just let the world slide away and you can just nap, snack, or craft? Whatever you choose. All three or one or whatever. It's your life. You got to live it. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy, and I'm living my life.
Yeah,
so we're gonna do what we do here. We're gonna talk about a movie. The movie we saw tonight is Wicked for Good, the conclusion of the two-part Wicked film saga, and we're gonna get into it here. But first, Tim, who's in this movie that we may know?
Well, we've got mostly returning cast from our first movie, which is Cynthia Erivo as the Wicked Witch, and Ariana Grande returns as Glinda the Good Witch. Reprising their roles just as everybody else does here. We've got Jeff Goldblum back as the wizard himself, Michelle Yeoh as the right-hand lady of the wizard, kind of the other magical person there.
Press secretary is, I think, her official title.
That's true. Jonathan Bailey's back as Fiyero the Prince. We've got, what else? Names, I guess. I would say that's it for the recognizable names.
Did you say Jeff Goldblum?
I
just
did.
miss that? Okay.
Yes, it was the wizard. I said him after the lead. And there you go. So they're all back, and same director, obviously, same choreographers, lyricists. It's, I think this was shot back to back, if I remember right. So here we are.
There we are. Okay. So what is Wicked for Good all about? Well, did you see the first Wicked?
Right. Kind of helps this too.
It would really help you in this situation.
It's the conclusion of that story.
Yeah.
So
It's the conclusion of that story. So to catch you up, Wicked takes place in the Land of Oz. Think of Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, right? This is all happening around the same time that story happens.
This movie is definitely.
And so the first movie was kind of about the setup of how Oz is, and we meet our two main characters, Glinda and Elphaba, who become Glinda the Good and the Wicked Witch of the West. And so this story, Wicked for Good, picks up with sort of the conclusion of that story and how does the friendship unfold between the Good Witch and the Wicked Witch, and what is the Wizard of Oz going to do, and what is his press secretary going to do, and how are they going to also weave this story into the story of the Wizard of Oz. So all of that takes place during this movie, whereas the first movie was kind of a setup for it. So, Todd, Wicked or Good, what are your thoughts on Wicked for Good?
I like what you did there.
there.
I feel like I have to start by saying this movie was never going to win me over. And I feel like that's going to go into my rating, and it's going to be entangled in my entire experience for tonight. But I don't know if it's necessarily the movie's fault. It's just, I've always thought that the Wicked play was the birth of the death of real villains that we see nowadays and stuff like that. And it's just like, I'm not even like against a villain, just like a turnabout for a villain, but it's just more like going back in time to like make up stuff to be like, oh, well, this is why this person's not, bad or whatever. And so I felt that way about the first movie. So you guys need to know, listening to this, that I knew I was going to go into this movie and I knew it wasn't going to be for me. So I'm trying to stay somewhat impartial and make sure that doesn't absolutely tank my review, because it is
gut reaction.
True, but my gut reaction isn't even about the movie. It's about the however long this thing has existed, and I've had to watch plenty of bad movies where it followed this trope. So I will start by saying some positives. I certainly thought it was a little hard to sometimes because we were in the third row.
Yeah.
But I did think that there were some great sets, I thought, in this movie. Like, all the stuff that you saw in the first movie that you expect from it. You know, there's singing, and the singers are very good. They do what they do. And I thought the acting was okay. Like, I'm not sure if I would
Musicals have a
say...
certain level. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it seemed like everyone did their character very well. There were... And, I mean... I don't know how to say what I want to say. So, I would say that scenes were great, acting was fine. You know, I thought the pacing of the story wasn't bad. Like, at no point was I like, I'm bored, wrap this up. I did have wrap this up thoughts, but it wasn't because I was like lost in the movie. I was just like, I know this isn't for me. I've already made up my mind. Let's wrap this up. But, so those are the good things I could say. The bad things is that I think what didn't work for this movie as a movie for me is that almost the main story of this movie that is overlooked and overshadowed is the genocide of animals. Like, and I really felt like every time they would delve into that a little bit and you'd start to feel like, oh, we got some crusaders for animals or whatever, it would immediately go back to Glinda and Elphaba drama. Like, and I just, at one point I legit lost who I'm supposed to root for in this movie. Like, obviously you're really supposed to root for Elphaba, but it's almost like they make every other character kind of unlikable to a point where it's like, okay, you've ruined every character for me in your pursuit for us to say we should support Elphaba. Like, and that was hard for me because I just reached a point in the movie where I was like, I don't know who I'm rooting for anymore. Like, but like, there's this background story about animals and it comes up sometimes and it plays into the end a lot, but you're also like, I just was like, every time someone was like, well, we can't let the secret out because of blah, 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 or whatever. I was just like, you're choosing to let animals continue to die and like by not fighting everything. And I just, it really, by the end of the movie, I was like, I don't know anymore. And I wasn't the biggest fan of the original Wizard of Oz. I do think the original Wizard of Oz was very whimsical and magical. And that came out in a time in movies where that was important and it was great to see and stuff like that. Do I think it holds up to today? I don't know. I haven't watched it in 20 years. But I think what Wicked doesn't have in the two movies here, and especially in this one, is that it's not whimsical. It's not magical. It's not... There's also no Munchkins in Munchkinland. Like, I'm like, I don't know what you do with that from a 2025 perspective, but like, it just was like, you know, you're seeing these characters, and I'm used to seeing these characters in a whimsical way where there's true friendship and like all this kind of stuff. And the more you just kind of turn back the clock to insert whatever you wanted to insert, the story falls apart by the end to me because of who every character is and what we remember of the Wizard of Oz. And then, like, also, you know, I don't know if this is spoiler or not, the ruby red slippers aren't ruby red. Like, and I was like, I don't understand. Like, you want it to be this story, but it's almost like you take turns making it this story adjacent. And maybe that's on purpose or maybe not. I don't know. But I just, about 3/4 of the way through the movie, I gave up trying to root for anyone. And I just said, I hope everyone dies and the animals take over. So, you know, that's where I'm landing with this movie. I also, before I sign off, because I could go on for a little bit, I thought the script was not strong for this one. I didn't remember having that many issues when I was watching the first part one, but part two, there are just some lines in this movie that I just was like, wow. Like, you, seriously? Like, when Elphaba and the dude are about to get down, and she's like, for the first time, I feel like I'm wicked. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, what are you doing? Like, so I think it honestly, I feel like because this strays from the play too, I just feel like the writers of this movie got lost. And they were like, how do we land this plane? We want to keep true to the play ending, but we got to still involve elements of the Wizard. And I just felt like it was too much. It was too tall of a task. And I'm sure other people are going to feel differently. But for me, it just didn't hit. And I'm willing to admit that a lot of that is probably because of my feelings going into the movie. So I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to trash this movie because I don't feel like I'm giving it a true impartial viewing here. So I will turn it over to Tim.
Yeah, so I've been parsing my thoughts since we've come out of the theater. To preface, the first Wicked I enjoyed, and I think I came out pretty positively on that. I am not a big Wizard of Oz fan. I mean, it's not like I hate it or anything. I didn't have any real attachment to it. I remember seeing it when I was young, thinking, oh, it's a clever, like you said, whimsical, fun movie, and it's one of those movies at the time was revolutionary. No one had done something like that, and it's in a lot of people's, just part of the culture, and that's great. So I'm all like, okay, we're gonna take a new twist on it, and let's try something else. I knew nothing about the play. I knew it existed, but I knew nothing about it. It was never something I saw or even heard about or sought to see. So when I went into Wicked, it was totally blind, and I was like, let me just take this in. And I remember thinking for most of Wicked 1, I like this. This is fun. It's a new take on things. We're getting different perspectives. It may not line up exactly, but we're not in the Wizard of Oz timeline yet, where it's like a prequel almost. And I liked the performances. I thought some of the musical numbers were great. I thought, the interplay between Elphaba and Glinda was a lot of fun. I thought Ariana really was excellent in the first movie, just being comically, the dumb blonde character, but also but fun and lighthearted and all that. And I thought she really brought it. I thought Cynthia Erivo was great in the first one. Awesome voice, all that. But to kind of go along with Todd here, number 2 did not line up with number 1 for me. I thought a lot of the songs in this one were not very clever, were not very interesting or fun. The whimsy in this movie was pretty much gone. And a lot of things that I liked about Ariana's character in the first one, she barely got to be in this, like the ditzy, silly, kind of, full of herself girl. Like there was one scene in the middle where they had a little bit of a slap fight. I enjoyed that, but in this Wicked for Good, it felt almost out of place because of how the tone of the rest of the movie was. Because, obviously we're much more into she's the Wicked Witch now, and we have to have all this conflict and drama, melodrama, I would even say. And it just, something was missing in this second movie, and it did not click for me at all. And while I was still, like you said, lavish sets, nice dance numbers, and, these girls can sing, and, Goldblum being Goldblum, I enjoyed him. He's fun because he's trying to sing sort of, but he's also can't help being Jeff Goldblum. And, and I've always been a fan of Michelle Yeoh, and she's kind of chewing the scenery a little bit. But, like I said, I knew nothing about Wicked, so I didn't know where it was going. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but the ending killed it for me and is going to drop my rating hard because I do not like what they chose to do at the end. Now, probably people are like, well, that's been the ending forever. That's where you should have seen that coming, or that's where this story is clearly going. That doesn't mean I have to like it. And like I said, I have no attachment to Wizard of Oz. It's not one of my favorite movies of all time or anything, or even just something I even think about all that much. But I do not like what they did here. I mean, I don't even know if adjacent's even a fair word for what this movie, but this movie almost felt like it didn't have the rights to the Wizard of Oz. The way that they danced around the actual parts of the Wizard of Oz. And I believe, as far as the red shoes goes I think I read something where the red shoes were only in the original movie, which they don't actually have the rights to, and that's why they couldn't use the red shoes.
You're right.
Yeah. So that's a technicality.
They don't have
that's
rights
a technicality.
to red shoes?
Because that was a copyright from the company that made it.
Well, yeah, you can choose a different shoe and make it red.
Sure.
Though. They could have used the shoes.
The ruby red
So
slippers.
they did do that in a certain way,
they
and they do it in a different certain way in the musical.
Right.
But they couldn't use the term ruby slippers or whatever.
So that part I knew
That's
going
pretty
in.
crazy.
I read that in some article somewhere. But anyway, to get back to my original point here, Wicked for Good did not work for me at all. And I'm kind of disappointed at that because I really did like Wicked and was open to it and was thinking, all right, let's see where it goes. And I'm sad that I saw where it went.
Matt, save the review score because I think you're the only one who can.
Well, yeah. So this movie is for me. This movie is a musical. This movie is which I like, and which is based on a musical that I've seen multiple times and have really enjoyed as well. So yeah, I think I do have a different kind of take on it, a different view of it. And I will agree that like the the grand pageantry of the first movie is fairly equivalent in this movie as far as like set design and like costume design and all of that. That's all the same. It's all still really good in my mind. But I agree with you, Tim, that the songs really take a step down.
They really do, yeah. Especially in the sense
Songs
of
were
like
fun in the first one.
there were some songs in this movie that you're like, okay, that was obviously in the play.
Right.
That's a song.
Yes.
Then there were times where I felt like they were just making it through a scene and just turning it into scene of lines.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
that was it. And
Right.
you're like, okay, well that doesn't sound as good because it's not an actual song.
No.
Like, so
And it's like, yes, Ariana and Cynthia are good singers, but it doesn't mean it has the same weight that they have this talent and that it always works for
Right.
every single thing.
Now, I think it's also true that in the play, the front end of the play is also top heavy with better songs.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't think all the songs in the movie are in the play. I
Gotcha.
think they
think they
they
added
wrote
some?
some. Think they added some. I could be wrong about that, but it's been
no,
a while.
you're the expert in this.
Well,
been a
here's the
while
thing.
since I've seen
so,
the
so
play.
I have a question for you, Matt. How long is the original play?
I don't
3
know
hours,
that.
like with an intermission.
It has an intermission. I think about the same time.
I was gonna say because this
As
is
the
two,
break between the two
This is
stories.
2-hour movies that are a little over 2 hours.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they
Oh
add,
no, that the movies are always longer than the plays
I
because
know,
they
so
have
they
to fill
padded
in
it out.
so much. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and they definitely took some turns away from the play with the Wizard of Oz stuff.
Okay.
So, but all that to say is, even with that,
Yeah.
and maybe because I knew the ending was coming and what it was going to be, and I knew that we're really talking about some kind of integration and retelling of Wizard of Oz, that I enjoyed the movie. I had a good time. I thought it was a worthy conclusion to our
Wicked Journey.
not our wicked journey. What I was going to say is the relationship between Glinda and Elphaba,
Gotcha.
which is really what the two movies are all about. Is
Yeah.
is the interplay between those
Can't
two,
deny that.
and I thought this was a fitting end to that relationship journey. Yeah, there was a lot of other extra stuff that could have been left out. Some songs could have been left out. We could have had a little bit shorter.
Could have been more of a tighter movie.
Could have been a little tighter. But overall, I did enjoy myself. I'm fine with the ending, and I'm even fine with the stuff that they did with the Wizard of Oz. Like, that's fine with me. It's just a different retelling of the story. With,
Well,
you know.
I never, when I watched the original one, I never walked away and was like, how did the wizard pull any of that off? These movies made me go, how did a carny from our world
Yeah.
accomplish all this pageantry
Yes.
of technology? Like,
Well, and maybe I'm pulling this out of my hat here, but I think that in the books, like the Wizard of Oz books, he was also like a mechanical, like
okay, so there's something in there
engineering.
that, okay.
Like he got to Oz in a balloon that he made himself. It's
Okay.
like how the wizard got to Oz in the first place.
Because at one point he definitely calls himself a carny in
Yes.
this
Yeah.
movie, and
Yeah,
I was
no,
like,
I was like, well, that.
I was like, that's what I always thought
That
you
lines
were.
up.
But
Yes.
now that you said it, I'm like, how does all
Right.
this stuff work? Like,
I think he has some engineering background as well. As
Well,
being
that's
a
probably.
Coen.
I mean, I'll be free to admit that's also part of the problem is that there's a book and I've never read it. Like,
Sure.
so who knows how even the original
But
was
wasn't
close
there,
to the subject
wasn't there a
material.
prequel movie?
I don't know about a.
feel
There was a
prequel movie.
Return to Oz.
No. I think there was something. It was James Franco. I think it was like the Great and Powerful.
Yeah, Oz the Great and Powerful.
I never
I
saw
never
Which
it.
is
saw
about
it.
him coming to Oz.
Okay.
Yeah, I never
Wizard
saw it,
King.
and I don't know how canon it is.
And there are a bunch of books.
Okay.
There's a
Yeah.
bunch of Oz books. I read
Okay.
them when I was little.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Gets into all the other lands and a lot
Yeah.
of different other characters. But
Gotcha.
anyway,
I was sad we didn't get to see any other lands. Like I was like, because they brought them up,
They
Yeah.
didn't talk about
especially the
Yeah.
tunnel of mystery that went to, I
Somewhere.
presume, our world. Like I don't
Yeah, I
know,
don't know.
but people left and then they came back, and I was like, well, what was on the other side of the tunnel? Like,
yeah,
Right.
wasn't good enough for them to stay, I guess.
apparently.
Well, anyway, like I said, this movie was for me, and I enjoyed it. It was definitely I thought the first movie was one of the best movies that came out last year.
I agree with you.
And this is not one of the best movies that came out this year. This is, to me, a good movie. I like the story. I wish the songs were better, and I wish we had, some more fun choreographed dance numbers
Yeah.
like we had in the first one. But the tone's a little more serious. So I get some of that being left out, but I missed it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed it.
It made it weird because there's a time jump when this movie starts
Yeah.
from when the last movie ends.
Correct.
And then by the time you see some characters that were all throughout the first movie, they are fundamentally changed as characters.
Yeah.
Like
And
the
it all-
sister. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
everything's fundamentally
Yes.
changed about you. Like, and it's like, well, we didn't get to see it, so it's jarring.
And they-
Like the last time we saw
Yeah.
you was this, and here's this. Like,
And it also felt like they were almost trapped by having to line up to the Wizard of Oz movie because they had to get to certain things, but it didn't feel natural. It felt like, well, now this is the part where this happens, so this is where, and this is how this person becomes that. And I felt like they were actually more handcuffed. And if you're gonna tell a new story of it, just do it. Like don't make yourself a slave to the original story. Like just go all new, and you don't have to line up.
Yeah.
You can say this is actually how this is how the story was passed down on this side or something like that.
Right.
Instead of being handcuffed by, well, we have to do this part and then we have to show this because that's the Wizard of Oz. I think that actually might have, maybe I wouldn't have been so objected to it. And it's not like I'm even a Wizard of Oz defender.
Yeah.
It was such a jarring finish to me when they spent half the movie saying, well, we got to line up, and then they don't. So I don't know. To me, it's just like pick a lane.
Yeah.
sure.
Well, I feel like they did have to, like that's one of the biggest hooks of this movie is
Yeah.
like, oh, it's the Wizard of Oz from
Yeah.
the other side of the curtain.
Yeah.
So I feel like they had to hit the big
Yeah.
events, even if they did it in a different way.
Right.
But I also agree with you, Tim, that it did feel like they were kind of like shoehorning into certain things.
That's a good word, shoehorn.
that could have been a little bit more freer. I guess you'd have to make a longer movie to kind of
And it's a long
make
enough.
it make it smooth. So
Well,
anyway.
I'm not sure how possible it is because you're fundamentally changing characters.
Very
Like,
much.
I mean, the Cowardly Lion, Tin Man, Scarecrow, they are all fundamentally changed in this story to be nothing like they were in the original story.
Tin Man was very angry.
Which I mean, like, I get it. You're telling a different,
Yeah.
new story, so you got to do something. But that just makes it jarring to me. Like,
I agree.
but anyway, I also feel like it'd be remiss if we were talking about the Wizard of Oz. And period. I know this isn't a different movie. This is Wicked, but still all Oz to me. And we didn't mention that in the original Wizard of Oz, Toto was paid more than the Munchkins.
Yeah.
we can mention that.
That
Yeah.
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me. I mean, that doesn't surprise me based on the time.
We can all thank the accountant too, because that's where I learned that. when John Berthal brings it up.
And that was one of the best movies of this
Yeah.
year.
Yes, it
And I
was.
was like, and I watched it again a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I forgot that was in there, man.
Yeah.
So
That's
Good-
great.
good call
now
back.
we've said it.
Good call.
All right.
All right, let's get down to business here. It's getting late. Everyone's got places to go and a bed to climb into. How many? I'm just gonna say how many floating bubbles What'd you give this movie? The bubble transportation bothered me because I just want to know how she steered and everything happened. Like, we never got into that. It just was like, here's this bubble. What happens if a bug hits the bubble and pops the bubble? Like, does she fall out of the sky?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I was left with a ton of questions once they introduced it. So, 0 being the worst, because then you have no floating bubbles and you're not flying around, you're nothing. What's going on? 5 being the best, because then maybe you can share with friends, or maybe combine them all into a super bubble, you know? the
Float all over the city.
Yeah. The limits, there's no limits. So,
It's unlimited.
yeah, it's unlimited.
Thank you, Todd.
Matt?
I'm going to go with 3 bubbles. I wasn't obsessulated with this movie, but I thought it was
job.
pretty good in my mind and a nice conclusion. So 3 for me.
Fair. Tim?
Yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed maybe I set myself up for this, but like I really enjoyed the first one. I rejoicified about it. But this one just was such a letdown for me that, but the set design was great. You know, the voice, the singing is good. I love Jeff Goldblum being Jeff Goldblum. I think that lets me into a 1.8.
Okay.
But the ending really ruined it for me, and I don't know why. It didn't sit well.
Yeah. I mean, there's aspects of the ending that I have a problem with, but more like I have questions and I can't bring them up on the podcast.
Yes.
Because it would definitely be a spoiler. Yeah. But I think I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna give this movie a 2. And because I just think there's a lot of personal feelings in play here that is not the movie's fault.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
So I want to be fair, even though I am giving my gut reaction. I'm trying to be fair.
Yeah, that's right.
But and I'm sure we'll start talking about it once we're done recording. But I had so many questions by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And they're all Todd questions. Like I get it. Like no one's gonna think like I do when a movie gets made and stuff like that. But there were just some things where I was like, I don't know how that works.
You were not satisfied.
So,
your suspension of disbelief wasn't quite suspended.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I can watch movies and have that suspended very fast and stuff like that. And I think that movies that can make that happen for you are the mark of good movies.
I agree.
And I'm not saying this is not a good movie, but this one never stood a chance with me. Yeah. And I just think that's fair to mention.
Yeah, no, I think I agree.
Fair enough.
All cards on the table.
All the cards have been laid out. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we reviewed the sequel to Wicked for Good. And we gave it an average rating of 2.26 repeating, which is a little bit below average. So I think in general, we would say don't see this movie is what is the recommendation of the podcast.
Unless you're a Wicked fan.
Unless you're a Wicked fan, and then I think
you've already seen it.
Or maybe
I
you
think you'll
trust
really
Matt more than Tim and I.
Matt might be a better resource.
that could
But
be.
I like
We never know.
musicals, so it's not like I don't have the musical bias that
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's okay for us to have our own little sections of people. Like
of
we'll
course.
have the Matt people
Of
who
course
fall
it
in line
is.
with Matt.
Yeah.
And I'm usually the Tim likes everything the guy, so I know.
All right. Well, anyway, thank you for listening to the old podcast here. Please continue to do that. Like it, subscribe to it, download it, do all those things, and we will see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da da
da da da.
da da da.